Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Trina here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 3 of What If Deku Was Given the Six Paths Power. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. So, we begin. Bakugo began the encounter as he launched himself towards Izuku at full speed using his explosions. Midoriya, now transformed, used 3 of the truth-seeking orbs to form a barrier, and with it, he blocked the explosion strike that was headed towards his face. Seeing how Midoriya had blocked it so quickly made Bakugo's blood boil, and he screamed while simultaneously using his explosions once more. Izuku thought that Kacchan had gone for a cluster, but instead, he had used those explosions to propel himself over to the other side to attack his blind spot. Seeing this, Izuku quickly took one of his orbs and formed it into a glove that fully encompassed his right hand. "Six paths, contain smash!" the boy shouted as he punched right through Bakugo's explosion with ease, landing quite the blow on his abdomen. This knocked Bakugo back, and he landed on the sand a couple of meters away from when he was seconds prior. "Cheap shot, you bastard!" the blonde maniac protested. "This won't happen again!" he claimed as he got up again. "Kacchan, let's just talk," as his glove reformed into an orb once more. "We can talk once you're under my boot once more!" Bakugo shouted as he launched himself towards him. Izuku could only sigh. It indeed was hopeless. Kacchan would never understand that violence wasn't the way to solve all problems. A true hero would know that. As he was right now, Kacchan was too dangerous to let loose, so he needed to be contained. Midoriya, without hesitation, used 2 of his orbs to form sturdy short staff-like weapons, one from each orb to defend himself. "Six paths, enforcement batons!" he announced as the collisions between him and Kacchan began. Blow after blow, hit after hit, both boys continued, but neither seemed to be slowing down. What Izuku didn't know was that Bakugo had been training vigorously ever since the day he saved him. The infuriation he felt afterward made it so he couldn't think of anything else. He needed to become stronger, the best. Nobody could ever compare to him, especially someone so insignificant as Izuku Midoriya. He had only been fueled even further when he saw Izuku training alongside All Might. This couldn't stand. The #1 hero was training the nerd that he had bullied into submission throughout most of his life. All to show him that a quirkless loser had no place in this world, even less as a hero. Izuku knew that he needed to end this now. Not only was this whole fight meaningless, but it was pretty late already. If he took much longer, then his mother may start to worry. Being accustomed to an impeccable schedule makes you stress even more if it's suddenly broken. And so, he decided to conclude the fight right now. 3 truth-seeking orbs began colliding against each other in quick succession, creating electric sparks every few seconds until Izuku did a backflip and got into position. Just like once before, he moved his right arm forward and looked down on Bakugo. "Six paths, paralyzing lightning!" Izuku shouted, and an alarming amount of purple lightning shot out from the orbs behind him. Bakugo, in shock, tried to jump away to evade it, but he wasn't fast enough, getting hit by most of it. His screams filled the air as he fought to move, but he couldn't. He had been fully paralyzed. Midoriya then, without another second to lose, launched all the orbs he had at Kacchan, and they took him into the air. Izuku closed his eyes and concentrated. This one would have to be perfect. He opened his eyes and clapped his hands together. "Six paths, binding cage!" At that very moment, all 9 orbs formed into a cage that trapped Bakugo, the purple lightning dissipating as it happened. Then gravity did its job, sending the cell down into the sand. As it collided, the whole beach shook and trembled, similar to an earthquake, but soon that also subsided. Izuku flew towards the cage and sat next to Bakugo, his back facing his childhood friend as a black bar separated them. The blonde boy only stared at Izuku with hate and anger. The only reason he wasn't screaming like a madman was that he couldn't move his mouth. Sadly, it wasn't just his mouth, as most of his body was numb at that moment. "You know, Kacchan, it's been a while since I wanted to do this. You deserve to know the truth. I never lied to you about being quirkless. I truly was one of those until that very day I saved you. I was given this power by a sage from another realm. He called himself Hagoromo Otsutsuki. He knew that I lacked the power to be who I wanted to be, and with my actions, I somehow was proven worthy to gain this blessing. Even if I hadn't gotten the power of the 6 paths, I would have still tried to save you. On that day, your eyes just looked like those of someone that needed some help. Kacchan, I've trained all this time to improve myself, Months of intense training, cleaning this place by myself so a new horizon can dawn upon this beach as it did before. I know you are mad about many things, but let me make this clear. No matter what you do or say, I will get into UA. You can throw one of your childish tantrums for as long as you like, and that won't change my mind. I have worked hard to get to where I am today, just like many others, and I plan on acing the entrance exam. I will show the world that I, Izuku Midoriya, am here. I will be the biggest hero that this world will ever see, so why not fight alongside me, Ka-chan? Bakugo remained in place as he processed what had been told. It all seemed like a fabrication to cover up something else, but even then, nothing could deny that Deku had gotten a powerful quirk that eclipsed his. About a minute more of a silence passed, and then he finally began to feel his whole body as it should be.
That's a bunch of bullshit! You? Gifted such power by a god? In what world do you think we live in, huh? Just admit that you hid this away from me to make me look like a dumbass. You even waited for the perfect moment to embarrass me in front of a whole crowd and the pro heroes.
Ka-chan, you know that it wasn't... But an explosion shot in his way interrupted him from finishing another word.
Shut your mouth! Do I look like I'm done speaking?
Bakugo growled. Izuku remained quiet, now facing Bakugo, waiting for him to continue.
Oh, and you couldn't just leave it there, could you? You also got All Might to train you. The #1 hero has been training you personally, and you don't even think of including that in your fairy tale? You must have your head quite up your ass if you think that I'm not going to call you out for it. You are slowly taking everything that was meant to be mine. The only one from our class to enroll to UA, the student with the coolest quirk, the strongest. You have taken it all for yourself, and on top of that, you get to have All Might as your teacher. All of this just makes me livid beyond your comprehension. Seriously, what the hell is your problem? Are you just trying to make me jealous?
But he retracted himself from finishing that sentence. His pride had already been shattered many words before that one, but he wanted to salvage at least some of it. Izuku only watched in awe. The once tall, sturdy building that Ka-chan had been was crumbling away. This pathetic display had taken everything out of him. He could only feel embarrassed about Bakugo's outburst. Why had he been scared of someone like him for years? If he had always been this way, then not even a fly should fear him. To Midoriya, Bakugo had been thrown down the stairs of the hierarchy, now being unequal, if not lower, standing than himself. He could only feel bad for him. That's all he deserved. Pity. That's enough. You can go, said Izuku as he called back his orbs and the cage disappeared. Bakugo fell and quickly got up, noticing the sudden change of attitude from the nerd. He started walking and passed by Izuku, just to then continue. But after a few more of those, he stopped and turned around.
Don't think that this means you've won. There's no chance in hell that I'll let you be #1 on the entrance exam. The written part, I'll devour and get bonus points. The practical part, I'll get all the villain points while also securing all the hero ones as well. You won't beat me, Deku. You better watch your back because I will run past you,
he claimed as he rose his fist upward for it to then collide with his chest. Whatever you say. Good night, Ka-chan. Bakugo disappeared into the distance not long after while Midoriya looked at the starry night above. He smiled, and after getting his thoughts together, he headed back home. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. For the services Skillshare provides, you can get access to many in-depth tutorial videos on basically anything you want to learn. Each class that they have is bound to help you with your creative endeavors. Do you want to learn how to make videos like this one? Do you learn how to write scripts or edit audio? Skillshare has you covered. And with our link, you can have a 14-day free trial. So what are you waiting for? Click the link now and get 14 days worth of classes free. Link in the description below. The months passed since their encounter, and they haven't spoken since. Bakugo continued training while Izuku finished cleaning the beach. All Might had congratulated him on a job well done, also showing him a picture of before he started so he could see his gains. Indeed, he had been scrawny before, but now he had some real muscle. After that, Izuku did some light training every day until the entrance exams arrived. He had gotten ready within an hour to spare. This young man knew that today was the day. The fated day had arrived. With a huge breakfast to start with, he felt full of energy, although he was pretty full to be honest. He had taken a quick bath afterward, and then he got ready to leave. But as he was at the door, ready to go, he received a pleasant surprise. "Izuku, dear, wait!" he heard his mother say from the other room. "What's wrong, Mom?" "I just wanted to see you off.
It's your big day after all. I know that you will do your best, but don't feel bad if things don't go your way. No matter what happens, I'll always be here for you. Now, get going. Show those heroes that you are one of them," Inko said just before kissing her son on the cheek to send him off. "Thanks, Mom. See you later." And just like that, he was off. He knew that today was the day he had been training for. 10 months had surely changed him for the better. In mere minutes, he had reached the gates of UA High, and he could barely contain his excitement. He had overstudied all the subjects for the test, and he had researched the practical part. It turns out that the point system stays relatively the same, but the enemies are changed every year, according to threads online. If all that knowledge were correct, he would have a blast during the entrance exam. Ka-chan suddenly passed by him, bumping him, and Midoriya reached out but stopped. He was being ignored at the moment. No matter, this wasn't going to let him down. Izuku took his next step and immediately tripped on it, sending him straight into the floor at full speed. But thankfully, before he collided with the patterned brick floor beneath, he began to levitate as if he was weightless. At this moment, he finally noticed that he had been saved from a premature hero's death.
You alright?
A girl asked from his left side. He turned to face her. A cute girl with warm auburn brown hair stood beside him. She was a bit shorter than him and had big brown eyes that possessed the same color as her hair. She was wearing some winter attire, which also included an oversized scarf that covered the entirety of her neck, all of this over her school uniform. He was speechless. Izuku couldn't form any more thoughts and even fewer words.
Sorry for going crazy with my quirk there. I just think I'd been a bad omen if you tripped, you know?
The girl added as she placed her hands together. Izuku could only utter what sounded like gibberish as his brain seemed to be fried for such an unexpected encounter.
I'm so nervous, and I bet you are too. Well, good luck with the test. See ya,
the nice girl said as she went on her merry way. I talked to a girl, was all the boy could think afterward. Minutes later, he had found himself alongside all the other students that hoped to take the exam, Bakugo specifically being seated right next to him. Izuku could barely contain himself as he saw President Mike at the podium below, muttering to himself and probably annoying anyone nearby. Then they were all blasted with the explanation of how the practical test would work. The students would go to their designated areas according to their number, and there they would have 10 minutes to dispatch some villains. These would be assigned points depending on their difficulty, going from 1 to 3, so 3 different enemy types in total. At that moment, President Mike was interrupted by a tall young man sporting glasses seated nearby. He questioned why the paper they had been given depicted 4 types of enemies when only 3 of those types would attribute points to the students. But as he finished stating that, he turned around and gave Midoriya a death stare, claiming that his unnecessary excitement was too distracting and that he should just leave. Izuku covered his mouth and apologized. President Mike then explained that the 4th type would give 0 points, so it should be avoided at all cost. A few minutes later, Midoriya found himself in front of gigantic metal doors that housed his designated area. But his mind was quickly distracted as he saw the girl from before, scrambling any coherence left in his brain. I should thank her, he thought as he started moving her way. Who exactly are you, friend? You don't come to obstruct your fellow test takers, did you? The guy with the glasses from before questioned, wondering if Deku was just a fumbling buffoon. And start! Screamed President Mike. Everyone's full attention was now directed to him. Izuku panicked as everyone had already gone ahead in front of him, leaving him last. But he quickly gained his composure and transformed. Many green robots were scattered throughout the streets, and the students were already ripping them apart. Midoriya went all out and sent all the orbs in his arsenal to attack, easily getting many points as the robots were sliced away with truth-seeking blades. Minutes clocked by, and the points kept racking up for the green-haired boy. If he wasn't mistaken, he had over 100 points by now. Not like that streak would last as a gigantic robot appeared right in front of most of the students. They all began to run away as they realized that this must have been a 0-point enemy. The place had been crowded, and now everyone needed to get more points elsewhere while avoiding death caused by the menace of supreme dread. Izuku could see that many people wouldn't make it, so he threw most of his orbs to get those who couldn't run out of here. A hero must always help those in need. His body froze though. The girl from before had been left behind, and the giant robot was about to crush her. 3 orbs went above his right hand while 3 more went to the left. All 6 formed 2 gauntlets for the young hero. The other 3 orbs swept the girl and carried her to safety. Meanwhile, Izuku had jumped into the air and was about to crash against a significant threat. 6 paths, dual gauntlet smash! He screamed as he hit the robot with all his might, cracking its entire head and making it fly out until it landed outside the exam area. He then flew down and checked if everyone was okay.
and it seemed like no one had gotten hurt. He was so glad. But as he reached the floor, he was approached by the girl from before. Deku de-transformed and returned to his shy self that couldn't even put out words.
Thanks for saving me back there. For a second there, I thought he would go splat. By the way, that attack was out of this world. You pulverized its face,
the girl said in an excited tone. No problem. That's what a hero does, Izuku stuttered, barely able to surpass his current weakness.
Time's up! The test has concluded!
President Mike shouted through the speakers. After that, Recovery Lady came to help anyone in need, and whoever didn't need it could return home. Izuku and the girl continued talking on their way until they reached the entrance. But to be accurate, it had been mostly the girl doing the talking, while Midoriya answered with simple words.
Deku!
Shouted Bakugo as he made his way to Izuku and grabbed him by the shirt.
Is that his name? It's so cute!
The girl thought as she stared at them in front of her. God, Sean, it's not necessary to do this here.
You're right, my bad,
he responded before letting go and standing back.
What's the relationship between these two?
You were just bragging, weren't you? Was it really necessary to send that 0-point bot out of bounds, huh?
I may have gotten a little ahead of myself back there. The boy looked away, a bit embarrassed, as the girl started to look directly at him again.
Don't get cocky! I could have done that too, you damn nerd! Just you wait!
He exclaimed just as he walked off into the crowd ahead.
What just happened?
The girl asked. Don't worry about him. He's just a childhood friend, Izuku explained, leaving lots of details out of it.
Oh, well, I gotta go talk to someone, so I guess that I'll be seeing you if I pass,
the cute girl said as she started heading back into the high school. Wait, can we, exchange numbers? You know, to keep the conversation going later?
Of course,
she cheerfully responded, almost as if she wanted it to happen. And so the two teens exchanged their phone numbers. The girl had put his contact names as Deku, thinking it was his name thanks to Bakugo's interaction a couple of minutes earlier. Meanwhile, Izuku hadn't finished saving the info, realizing he lacked something important. Wait! He shouted as the girl had already gotten some distance since he last looked up. She turned around and looked back in confusion.
What's wrong?
I, don't know your name yet. You know, for the contact info, he quickly replied. She could only giggle to herself. This curly-haired kid truly was an amusing one.
It's Ochako Uraraka!
She shouted so he could hear it clearly. Uraraka! Got it! He shouted back just after writing it down on his phone.
Well, for real now, gotta go! See ya, Deku!
Uraraka waved as she slowly walked away from view. Until next time! Midoriya was finally able to relax. He had done some self-improvement for sure. He had not only gotten to talk to a girl, but now he had a girl as his friend. Today couldn't have been better. Well, there was one thing, though. One thing that Izuku would come to realize in a bit. Wait, Deku! His thoughts exploded as he realized that she thought that such a foul nickname was his real one. A week slowly transpired while everyone waited for the results letter to arrive. During that time, Izuku, now mostly going by Deku during his chat experience, had a good week alongside Uraraka. At first, it had started slowly with a few messages exchanged, but eventually, they met up in person and went to the mall. And then the second time, they went to eat together at the same place that Izuku had gone before with All Might. Midoriya was no longer stuttering. He could now talk with her normally. They both had fun, and they were becoming better friends. But right now, they were both anxiously waiting for the letter to arrive to tell the other their results. And soon enough, Izuku heard a knock on the other side of his bedroom door. Izuku, it's here, the letter! Inko said as she handed the letter to her son, her emotions being through the roof and all making it so she couldn't stay still after Izuku closed the door. Izuku opened it, and a small metal device fell onto his wooden desk. At that moment, it started projecting a screen, and All Might was there. It took some time to jump through some hoops to get this done, so I'm sorry for not contacting you sooner. That's my bad. But that won't be a problem moving forward, as we will often see each other in UA. I'll be here as a teacher. We can celebrate about that later, but for now, let's get back to what you want to hear. You, of course, passed, with flying colors, a perfect score on the written test, 133 villain points alongside another 80 rescue points accumulated from your actions. That alone would have left you with the highest score in our high school's history. But there's more! Behold this screen! The recording of All Might pointed at a small screen behind him while the cameraman focused on getting a good look at it. Wait, that's Uraraka! As soon as the exam ended, this young lady petitioned us directly. What about, you ask? The recording continued, and he saw that Uraraka was about to talk to President Mike.
Sorry to bother you, but do you know the student called Deku? The one with the plain face, curly hair, and freckles? Would it be possible to share some of my points with him?
But why? Why would you share points with someone that scored so many already?
He saved a lot of us students when that giant robot appeared, and I'm sure that he would have done better if he hadn't had me as a distraction. So please give him an equivalent to what he would have got if I hadn't been there to be saved. People like him deserve to be heroes. He probably inspired some of the people he helped back there because he did inspire me. And for that, he deserves to be at UA.
I inspired someone. The tears escaped his eyes as he never expected something like that to come from someone else.
Quirks aren't the determinant factor in being a hero. Your actions have touched people, and so the judges agreed. It's in the job description, so for not just saving others, but for also inspiring them to do the same in the future, you were given an extra 40 points, totaling a massive 120 rescue points. And while we're at it, we'll give Ochako Uraraka 60 points for her words. Young Izuku Midoriya, my boy, UA is now your hero academia.
The recording ended, and the projector turned off. Izuku just sat there, tears still in his eyes. It was now confirmed. But then he got a message from Uraraka. She had passed as well. He cleared his eyes and stood up, congratulating her through a text while also telling her he had passed. His hard work and the help of others had gotten him this far. He was now super excited. Along with Uraraka, he would begin a life at the high school of his dreams like he always wanted. The dreamer's door finally opened up after so many years of it being locked. Thank you all for indulging yourselves with all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, I'd like to thank our patrons, BD Flames, Ethan Davis, Terry Chills, Shifter Melees, Adam Zagil, Zil, Zavbeat03, and Joshua Phelps. Secondly, I also like to thank all of our YouTube members, Toya Costa, Rob the King, Sith Lord 906, CF2364, and Knuckles, Remiu Tempest, Angel Juarez, Donald C. Stewart, Bryant Greer, and Demonized Fox. Thirdly, if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has got you covered. Our We the Celestials My Hero Academia and Naruto What If channels retell the story of the namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Fourthly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, I'd like to extend an invitation to join the team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from 16 years old to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching and have a great day.